Biggest mistake that people make with social media?
Overthinking, which is a really hard one to not do. It's not about you. Content, it's about your audience. People get too focused on themselves and they think too much. And I do it all the time. Did it a couple of weeks ago. I was doing a collaborative post with someone, so I sent it to them and was like, I'm not sure about this post. I think it's a bit rubbish. Tell me what's wrong with it and then I'll change it before I post it. And she was like, it's great. And then I did put that message out to our community to be like, just ask each other, because actually that's all you need. You need someone to break your overthinking and say, what are you getting worried about?
Hello and welcome to Berko and Beyond, the local business podcast for Berkhamsted and the surrounding areas. This week on the show, we're talking about business support, collectives and community. So let's dive in. Corinne Wallington, welcome to Berko and Beyond.
Thank you very much, Ben Baldwin.
It is great to have you here. Because you yourself and the Chiltern Biz Collective have been mentioned already on the podcast, I think as early as episode 2. So I know there are people out there who know about the Chiltern Biz Collective and know of you. But for those that don't, tell us a bit about yourself and the collective.
Okay, so Chiltern Biz Collective is a membership, a community for local independent business. We run networking events, co-working, lots of different things. The idea is it's a community for business people to come together, to support each other, to find like-minded people, just to chat about the highs and lows, of which there are many, of running your own business.
Yes, indeed, there are many, but we'll probably go into a few of those a little bit later on. So how did it come around, the Chiltern Biz Collective? What was your connection with it?
So it's been a bit of an evolution, I suppose. I started working for myself 7 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And did a few different things, was doing some social media management, sort of enjoying it, not feeling great about it, feeling quite lonely.
Yeah.
Decided I need to get myself out there, start networking, start meeting people. Already knew about, it was called the Buzz Hub Co at the time.
Yeah.
And already knew about that. I'd actually done a little bit of work for them the previous year. Contacted Katie, who was running that, and she said, oh, actually, we're closing the business. And I was like, oh.
That's a shame.
It was a shame because I was ready to go.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I need.
I'm ready to commit.
I'm ready to join and I'm ready to do everything. And then it was like, oh, it doesn't exist. It sort of, you know, they were planning to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So I can't remember who suggested it, but basically I bought the business from them, from Katie and Matt, who were running it at the time. They had some members, they had a website, social media following, all of that. So, and I took it on myself and sort of developed it from there, changed probably the focus a little bit. Their focus was more around shop local, promoting local business, which I'm still very committed to.
Yes.
But I put more of a focus on the business support side, the networking, and then developed it. And then a couple of years in, rebranded, changed the name to maybe align it more with what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And it made it feel a bit more like mine as well.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, where we got to.
So you went from at home on your own to then running a business.
To running a membership business that I'd never done before and organising networking events in local venues that I'd never done before.
Excellent. In for a penny.
Yeah.
So what was your background before that?
So I worked in HR for about 14 years for a defence engineering company. So a big company, corporate, all the joys of HR, which...
There are none.
There are many.
I don't mean that before we get letters.
There are many, but there are also, it was interesting. It taught me a lot. When I started working for myself, I was like, I don't need anything from that. Obviously, what I've learned as I've gone is a lot of skills that I learned doing that. And it's classic. I had a couple of kids. I didn't want to go back to work after my second maternity leave, and the juggle of trying to work part-time, not really working part-time, and the chase of the childcare and everything like that, which is what led me into working for myself.
And it happens a lot. And I guess there's a lot of people in the collective that are like that.
Yeah.
That are, parents that have kids and they're like, oh, I don't want to get on that train every day into London, or I just want to be around and be more present.
It's just having that flexibility, isn't it? I think a lot of people I meet who work for themselves, that's one of the reasons they've done it, is flexibility, either for their own kids or for other commitments that they've got. But it's like, there's a class assembly, and I can always go to it. And that's what I love. And I, take my kids to school every day, and I can pretty much pick them up most days as well. And, it's the cliche, they will only be little once, won't they? Yeah. And it is good that I can do that. And I really appreciate that. But that does bring other challenges with it.
Well, that's exactly where I was going to go with the questioning on that. So you've gone from HR, corporate world, working on your own sort of micro business, be fair to say?
Yes.
Describe it as solopreneur, micro business, then to running something a little bit bigger. What are the different challenges then from going, all of a sudden, you've got, like you say, it's a membership and it's a community that you're running?
Yeah, and it was, I didn't really think about it at the time. I was just like, this will be fine.
A lot of business, that.
Yeah.
I thought that when I started a podcast. I thought, we'll just do a podcast. And then it's like, okay, it's once a week. There's a bit of a commitment here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's the best thing, isn't it? I heard someone talking a little while ago about, you're quite naive when you start out. And actually, it's the best way, because I just sort of went for it. And I thought, this is what I want to do. And I was doing social media management at the time. So I saw a good link in terms of, I could do the two side by side. I could do social media work for small businesses, and I could support small businesses through networking. So they interlinked. And then there's different marketing, and it's probably something I still struggle with sometimes, is the marketing of it, of how do you get across that it's a community, that you're not looking for someone to buy a product. Yeah. I'm not offering a straightforward service, because you don't have to be a member to come along to events either. I'll say that now. Lots of people come to, some of our events and they'll never join the membership, and that's totally fine. Yeah. But people who do join the membership, it's a low cost monthly. Yeah. So you have to be part of it. You have to be, if you want value from it, you've got to put something in as well. You need to show up. And that's actually the core of community, isn't it? Is if you want to be in a community, you have to be part of it. You can't, it's not all going to be handed to you.
So talk to me a bit more about that, because I think a lot of people listening and watching will find that interesting, because there are those, and we know who they are, that go to networking events and they're there for the sale and they're there to do this. And that obviously that's what networking events are about in those different scenarios. But this is a different approach to it, because it's about building a community. The way I see it is you're going there and it's not an immediate sale, because whenever it is, but you build relationships. And much like I hope this podcast is going to become, as I've talked about before, is you and I can end up doing business together, or could end up doing business for someone else as a team, putting a little, I was going to say consortium, but that'd be the wrong word. But collaboration. And so talk to us about the culture and values on that side of things.
Yeah, so I used to hate networking. I used to go networking when I worked in HR as well, and I would always hate it. But actually, what I've learned is networking is just about connection, isn't it? It's about meeting people. Yeah. And for our networking events, we don't do elevator pitches. We don't... I don't even have business cards. People can hand out business cards if they want to, but I'm like, I'm going to put it in my bag and I'm never going to look at it again. So don't bother giving me one, sort of thing. And that's why I don't have my own. But we don't do any of that, I guess, traditional networking stuff, because it's about meeting people and I guess just coming to have a chat. Yeah. Coming to talk about what you do as a business. Obviously, it is, it's about your business, but it's come and just have that chat. Meet other people, share what you're up to that week, that month, and see what other people think. And you might, at a meeting, you might meet someone that automatically wants to buy something from you, or you automatically want to buy something from. But I think what people get most out of it is they meet people that they can chat to and who will say, oh yeah, I get that. I have had that problem on my website and I spoke to this person and they really helped. Or, yeah, I'm really slow this month as well. I haven't had any inquiries. And it's that sort of, when you're working for yourself and you can go very insular, I think, and you can go very much into yourself and you can think, I'm bad because I've not had an inquiry this week. I've not got any sales. No one's bought my product this month. So it must be something wrong with me. There must be something wrong with what I'm doing. And you can almost spiral yourself. And actually, when you go out and talk to people and you say, I've not made any sales on my website this month, someone else will say, oh yeah, I've had a month like that. Or yeah, this month's been really slow for me, or something like that. And I think just knowing that other people are going through similar, either at the same time or they have done in the past, is really powerful to be able to think, oh, okay, it's not all me, but having people who get it, I think, is the big difference.
I've been in networking groups, mentoring groups, peer groups, coaching groups, done it all, tried it all, tried all the groups. And whether they are industry specific, which I've done before for video production, or whether they are industry generic, the thing that it used to surprise me, it doesn't surprise me at all now, is that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, what level of business you're in, small, medium or large, or solopreneur, there are the same issues, and they are across the board. And that is, I think, because a lot of people, they do start off in their bedroom or in their
you're sitting in your
their
spare
shed
room
or spare room. Yeah. So to be able to get that advice.
Yeah. And it's, I think that is the biggest thing for me, is that, and I know it about myself, I, need to be around other people to feel motivated and, extrovert in that way. And I was at a point when I first took it over that I wasn't doing any of that. I wasn't going out, wasn't seeing anyone. And I didn't really know many other people who were running their own businesses either. So I wasn't really talking about it with anyone else. So like one of the things we do in the membership is online co-working.
Yeah.
So we just go on a Zoom for a couple of hours. It's actually really good for productivity because I won't go and procrastinate and put the washing on because I'm like, oh, there's someone else there. Obviously, they're not actually watching me, but, it makes you think, oh, I've got to stay here and actually do some work. But also we have like a little 10-minute chat at the beginning and a little 10-minute chat at the end. Just have a little chat. And
the day can disappear so quickly in those scenarios in a good way or in a bad way. So if you're there on your own, it's just like, oh, right, where did that day go and what did I get done? Or the same thing, if your day's going slow, that kind of connection with someone else helps. But also just being able to go and bounce that idea off straight away. So I remember when I first started and you're just kind of like, you can get that kind of, you describe it as a spiral. I describe it as just a kind of, you just get stuck because you've got no one to ask who's around you. Talk me through a typical event, if there is such as one of your, because you do networking as well. I like that.
We do networking. So that was like the first. I'd seen someone else do it, and it was like I think the first event I ever did was a netwalk, and because I love to go out walking, even before I had a dog, would happily go out walking, and there is, lots of mental health benefits, aren't there, of just getting outside, walking. But I think also the other benefit for doing it as a networking thing is you don't have to look someone in the eye. You don't have to stand. If you're a bit nervous about meeting new people, you don't have to sit, look them in the eye, shake hands, do any of that sort of formality thing, which actually for some people is their worst nightmare and fills them with anxiety. So, when you're walking, you're all looking in the same direction, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you can
walk at the floor.
Or at the floor. If you can't think of anything to say, you can say, oh, the trees look nice.
Yeah.
Or, oh, the weather's a bit rubbish today, isn't it? Or, whatever. There's always something to talk about.
And just listen to what's going on and you'll probably hear a little gem of advice.
Yeah, and we walk and we talk about all sorts of different things, not just business. We'll end up talking about families, what we're selling on Vinted, everything that's going on. And then always stop for a coffee and a cake because that's, that's how I survive.
Quite right.
Yeah, that's
coffee and cake.
Coffee always needs coffee and cake.
Very good. Talk to me about the not selling, because I find we touched on it earlier, but I find it really interesting that is part of the value.
Yeah. So it's not that I say to people you can't sell what you're doing, but
come to this networker and do not sell.
But it's not about standing up and doing a 1 minute pitch of what you're offering. It's not about coming and handing out your business cards to everyone. It's about coming and talking and building a connection. And people do sell all the time. I know people who come to the events have bought from each other, will refer each other, it has helped their businesses grow in that sense. But we don't do anything at the events that is overtly about you promoting yourself. Yeah. It's about you connecting with other people. There's another side to it. On the website, there's a directory and I promote what people are selling. Yeah. So all our members are on the directory. So if you want to support local business, you can go on there and find them. I do blogs and gift guides and, all that sort of stuff as well to help promote the members. But yeah, the networking community side is just that.
I think it's interesting because as we've been setting up this podcast, doing a few other things within the video production business, you kind of go off referrals of people that you know for different kind of services, and actually don't look at the local as much. And we've, by starting a local business podcast, was like, well, hang on, if someone's going to do our socials or someone's going to help out with this, or you go, it's got to be someone local.
Yeah, and I think, like, I never used to really even think about shopping small, probably before I started working for myself. You just went to a high street and just bought what was ever there. But now I'm so conscious of it. And I think, and I've been quite amazed actually, the amount of different businesses there are locally, Berkhamsted, Tring, Aylesbury, everywhere. There's lots of stats around, but if you spend £1 in your local community for a local business, more than 50% of that goes back to the local economy. Yeah. Which obviously, if you give Amazon £1, 0% is probably going back into your local economy. So there's lots of extra benefits apart from just buying probably a great product or a great service from a real person who maybe lives down the road from you.
And lots of those little businesses will, because obviously the convenience with Amazon is it's there the next day.
Yeah.
But a lot of those smaller businesses around are now offering those kind of services locally as well.
Yeah, and that's,
think about local butchers in particular, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and there's so many that, I've met so many amazing people, and I think that's the other thing that differentiates, local small business is that level of customer service. Like, they really value every single purchase, you're probably the same, every single client who pays you for something, you really value it. You don't get that same sense from big corporates. I'm sure someone does value it somewhere, but you don't get that feeling. And I think, and you therefore don't necessarily get the same level of customer service, especially if something goes wrong.
No, and it's the same in these, up and down the high street here in the town, where those independents, lots of independents, great service with, be it the independent gift shops or the independent coffee shops, that kind of stuff.
That's what I love about Berkhamsted High Street is there's not many chain shops. You can walk down the high street and, always find an independent. If someone says, where do you want to meet for coffee? Yeah. You're spoilt for choice, aren't you? But,
yeah, you are. Talked about the businesses that are in the collective then. So I guess there's not a typical business, but what's it?
Mostly sole traders, I'd say, like people working for themselves, maybe with a small team, but it's mostly people who are on their own. But it's everything. We've got, pelvic health physiotherapy, photographers, graphic designers, jewellery makers, all sorts of different gifts. So it's product, it's services, it's B2C, it's B2B. Yeah. So what we all have in common is we're local, doing it for ourselves. That's the niche.
And how are they at the moment in that sense of how is business? How are they feeling? Are they seeing the same challenges? Is there a common theme at the moment?
I think it's been up and down, hasn't it? Recently. I think everyone sort of struggles with marketing, struggles with sales, because we could all do with more, right? Yeah. And that challenge is the same and different, I think, because obviously if you're B2B or B2C, you need to market differently, don't you? So, but that's probably the one that always comes up, and that people never have enough time. Everyone could do with more sales, so, go and buy something from a local business would always be my message. But they're doing well, and they're, some of the businesses as well have been going for 10, 15 years. We've got other people who have just started up in the last year or two. But it's nice that even the people that have been going for a long time, they're not just there to pass on their, because you could just think, they'll just pass on all their great knowledge because they've been running a successful business for so long. They still come and get value back from, sharing ideas and finding out what people want.
I also think it's really interesting on those businesses, smaller businesses that are starting out now. Well, actually any size business, they've got something to teach, new tricks to the old dog, as I could probably put that a lot more politely. But you know what I mean? It's, as in there's stuff that they'll have looked at that, let's say, you know, those who have been in business longer have just been going along and like, oh, I didn't know that existed, or that's a new, fresh take on it, a different way of looking at it.
Obviously, AI is a big chat topic.
Really? Yeah, of course.
To see, you know, some people are for, some people are against, some people are embracing, others are a bit nervous. But I think, like you say, and when you've got people who are new to it, they have new ideas. Like we said, they're a bit naive probably as to what they're doing. But actually that brings the sort of almost, when you've been doing it too long, you can get a bit like, oh no, I've tried that, I won't bother again.
But I guess as well for the size businesses that we're talking about in the Biz Collective, that AI is mainly a plus for them, as in it's, if using it rightly, it's about enhancing their business, making some things quicker. Yeah.
It's just all about training it, isn't it? We had a conversation yesterday and I was like, oh, I just don't know if I've got the effort to properly train it. But I do use it to help with certain things. And like, it's just automation, isn't it? It's, you know, when you can automate things that you would, I guess, previously have to spend 3 hours doing, that's the joy. And
also, that stuff we've probably been doing for longer than we've realised. And it's just not been, it was AI, but it wasn't called AI. Yeah. That kind of thing. So what on that then? So where are you using it in your business to sort of enhance what you're doing, or take the load off? Is there anything particular you're using at the moment?
I probably just use it really for ideas. So like from like a marketing. So when I do social media content and things like that, I use it to help prompt me. So I don't use it to write things because I think you can tell. Yeah. And I do, and you know, I think it's important, especially when you run your own business, to write things yourself because people are buying into you, and so they need to hear your voice. But when you have those like blank page days and you're just like, I don't know where to start with this. Have a conversation with it. Yeah, have a bit of a conversation with it, get some ideas from it. That's the sort of key thing I'm using it for. But I know, you know, someone else using it for product photos to help do, you know, they can add their photos into it to do like the mock-up, so they're not having to set up a whole studio to take, 4 photos or something. And equally, I've not used it yet, but I saw something on Instagram this week about using it to write all your, like the metadata and things for your photos, ready to, so SEO friendly, ready to load them up onto your website. Yeah, we've just started looking at that. Which I think things like that is... Where as well, when you're doing it all yourself, you can't be the expert in everything, can you? And lots of people are like, SEO, oh, I don't know, I can't do it. And you think, well, actually, you can do it, and you can use things like AI to help make it a little bit easier. Speaking of your other side of the business is the one-to-one stuff that you do. Yeah. Talk me through that. There's some mentoring, there's some other stuff. So I do sort of mentoring with other sole traders, really, just to help people with their marketing, with their business planning. Obviously, I've been doing it myself now for quite a few years. So really just using like my experience and my ideas. You know, I just love sitting, having a chat with people. And if I can do it and help them, you know, make plans and do stuff with their business. And then I do little bits of social media for a couple of people, and also like training sessions, workshops, on social media, using Instagram for your business, content ideas, you know, all of that sort of stuff, which is one of the things that people seem to struggle with, I think, because online people make it sound complicated, and it's not. I was going to say, that was going to be my exact question, is what do they struggle with? And it's the complicated. It's so I get quite annoyed with people. Oh, come on, let's have a rant. We love a rant. I love a rant. But, you know, when people are like, oh, you need to beat the algorithm, you need to, it's like, you don't need to beat the algorithm, because actually the algorithm's there to help you. Yeah. And also, you know, it'll change next week. And and it's constantly changing. It's designed to constantly change. Yeah. And, you know, you get people sort of moaning about, oh, Instagram's not the same as it was 10 years ago. Well, what is? You know, nothing's the same as it was 10 years ago, is it? So it's not the same as it was last year. Yeah. You've got to embrace it, don't you? It's, you know, my view is of social media is it is a blessing and a curse, but it is free, right? We get to market our business. All it actually costs us is time. Obviously, you can pay someone to do it for you. Yeah. But if you're doing it yourself, it costs you time. Obviously, they're going to put ads in there. Obviously, they're going to push you to boost your posts or whatever it might be, because they need to make money, like we all do. And and all the, there's a lot of noise around, when you share a post, you then need to go and comment on 5 other posts, and you need to do this within 15 minutes. And you just think probably all of that might help you, but who's got the time or the inclination?
How much
much
will it help you? Well, it comes back to the ROI, doesn't it? Is there a return on investment for that 15 minutes you've spent doing that going to get you the amount of views? And often not often, it is about the right person seeing that post, isn't it?
Yeah.
And seeing that post or post like it with the same message 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
Yeah, and it's consistency. That's, I've had conversations with people who are like, oh, well, I've done a post. I'm like, if you've just done one, it's not going to work. It's such a busy place online, whatever platform you're on. You need to be posting consistently with the same message, trying to get the same message out there. And it is hard, but you've sort of just got to keep trying. And, we all say the power of the lurker, that's all you need. They might never, I've had people join the membership who I didn't know were in my sphere. They never commented on my post. Yep. They'd never been to an event. I'd never had a message from them, anything. I sort of knew that they existed in a way, but we'd never actually interacted. And then they've joined my membership and they said, oh, I love what you're doing. And I'm like, oh, okay, I wasn't actually aware, didn't know that you were aware of what I was doing. And that's all you need. So you don't always need the feedback, because the ultimate feedback is the sale that you might make 3 months after you've shared the post.
Yeah. Yeah, LinkedIn's a big one for that as well, for the lurkers. Yeah. And the amount of people that say to me, oh, I saw your thing on Bob, and I was like, okay, didn't know I did.
I mean, you always want to shake them and say, well, could you comment on it then when you see it and you really like it?
Comment on it, yeah, that'd be really good. So if we can we use this? I get a bit of free business advice while you're here. We'll use the Berko and Beyond podcast as an example for social media and for building a following. So obviously for us, the most important thing is getting likes and subscribes, because that helps with those algorithms that you're talking about but of course we're across a lot of different platforms.
Yeah.
Again, for us, it's not really about massive numbers. We just want to build a community like you've done around small, medium and large businesses that are based in, Berkhamsted and beyond, which fits nicely with Decorum and with the Chilterns. So it's that those kind of areas. So what would your advice be for us for posting short clips and building that community in social media? Because for us, I wouldn't say it's alien, but it's not something that we do. For the business, because we've always stuck to LinkedIn.
Well, I'd still use LinkedIn for Berko and Beyond, because I think obviously there's lots of local businesses on there. So I would definitely still use that. And video on LinkedIn, you probably know, is getting better and better. Like people, so posting short clips and stuff. As it is everywhere, short form video is the thing, isn't it? It's become, for socials, it's become the thing. So I'd definitely post it, LinkedIn still, because you'll get interest. LinkedIn, you don't need high quantity. It's more, you could probably just do a post a week of the clip of the week. Maybe you posting a personal sort of reflection on that you've talked about that week as well. That would probably be enough.
And would you do that from my personal or would you do it from the business page, as it were, from the...
Yeah, the business. I think you could post it from the business page, but then you share it.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of trick, I guess, as it were, because business pages don't perform that well on LinkedIn. But also, you sort of want the business page to give it that authority. But if you post the short clip of the podcast on the business page, and then you can share it to your personal profile, and then maybe that's where you put in a few little personal reflections from the chat that you've had on that week, because that will obviously go out to a wider population, because personal profiles work better. But equally, the rest of your team can do that as well if they're on LinkedIn, which is the good thing about doing it on a company page, because then actually they can share from the company page as well. And equally, if you share my clip, I can share it as well, all of that. So it's about getting other people to share it as well, particularly on LinkedIn. And obviously on Instagram as well, you can do collaborative posts. Yeah. So then it goes to the wider audience, because it will go to both audiences or 3 or 4, depending on how many people you're collaborating with, which all helps with the reach as well. But it's little things as well, like putting in the location on the post. So when you share the post,
what's the trick to that?
you can add the location. So when you're on that final share page to click share, there's add location. So you can add Berkhamsted there.
Yeah.
And there's some, and it's fairly consistent that posts with a location perform better. And then hashtags are sort of out.
Yeah.
They've limited it now. You can only have 5 hashtags. I mean, you could always stick in hashtag Berkhamsted just to help.
Yeah.
But it's all of them, it's like SEO now. So it's getting keywords into your captions.
Yeah.
So the caption that you put underneath the video or the post, it's trying to pack that with a few keywords of what people will be searching for. And then it's obviously trying to get people to share it, which I think you've got a great advantage because the format of the podcast is you're interviewing other people. So obviously the people that feature on the podcast will naturally share.
So there's a collaborative post there for every episode.
And, like after today, I'll go and post about being on the podcast even before it's released. And then that, will generate a bit of interest from my followers. And, if you can ask people to do that almost in return for you featuring them, it's a quid pro quo, isn't it? They get featured, and ask them to do a bit of promo themselves about the podcast. You could send them a couple of graphics and things that they could use, because then it just helps to push it out to the wider followers.
Oh, you'll get your video clips.
Yeah,
you'll get your shorts,
and that all helps.
And what about Facebook? Because obviously that's where there are community groups and things like that. What's the advice on that?
So it can be a little bit tricky because certain groups have restrictions over who can post in the group and how often you can post. So it takes a little bit more work to work out what groups you can post in and which ones you can't.
Which is why you end up with 2 or 3 different groups per village or
town.
So
it's working out which one to will allow you to post in about your business.
Yes.
Because some don't, which is fair enough. You don't want them full of spam.
Yeah.
So I think actually sharing it with a bit of commentary to say, listen to our latest episode. We spoke to Corinne about X, Y, and Z. It would be really interesting if you're a ABC, so trying to hone in on who it's for. So, like the one you did with Ben, you can share that and say, we spoke to Ben all about leadership and his experience of working in the military as well. A few interesting takes. And because if you can get those sort of different key things in as well, then actually that episode appeals to other people who've been in the military.
Yeah.
It appeals to people who are leading their own teams. So it's, but I think that's probably the difference of trying to be a bit more targeted and specific with who it's for. Because obviously we know the town groups are really big, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like you can have, because also it's not just people who live in the town, is it? It's,
no, of course, it's people who work in that town.
Who work in that town, or people who lived in the town 20 years ago and now live in Scotland, or, all that as well. So you almost want to call out in your post, who is this for? This episode is for you if you are working in Berkhamsted and running this sort of business, or and interested in leadership, or it's for you if you're a small business owner feeling a bit lonely and you're looking for a networking group. It's
just about being specific again, isn't it?
So it probably, you could probably do that for every episode, couldn't you? If you're a small business and you want to know more about leadership, listen to this episode with Ben and all the others.
The other Ben, not me.
That was the one I just listened to on the way here, so it's my example of your podcast.
Very good.
But so it's being specific. It's like Instagram, you probably need and Facebook, not so much. I'd say Facebook, it's the groups rather than, so you can have a business page and things on Facebook, but they don't get you much. It's posting it into the groups.
Into the groups is the concentration.
Is where it will work. Instagram, you need probably a bit more quantity than say LinkedIn, but you can post very similar things.
Yeah.
And then making sure that and it's little things like just making sure that all your links are right, which I'm sure they are, and that it's clear for people where to go to find things. And And, you know, because on Instagram, you can put 5 links in your bio. So, you know, you can have a link to your website. You can have a link.
Bio.
Yeah. You can have a link to, well, and that's the other thing, never put a link in caption. That's like one of my little pet hates.
Yeah.
Because you can't click them. They don't work. And you can't copy and paste it. I think people are like, oh, well, they'll copy and paste. It's like, you can't copy and paste from someone else's caption.
There is a reason why all those massive people with followers put link in the bio. And there are, like you say, there are now 5 links.
And you can now put 5 links. So you can, you know, you can have a link to your YouTube channel.
YouTube. If it's sort of TikTok shop for those that are doing that kind of thing. Yeah,
all your different things, you can put them all in there. And I mean, you can put links on stories. So obviously you can share things to stories as well and add a link, a direct link from stories to wherever you want it to go. And it's just reminding people, always putting the call to action in your caption as well. And I think that's where a lot of people maybe miss that, is they just put a post out and it's like, but what do you want someone to do?
Yeah,
you know? Because we're busy, right? We need to be, actually, you need to tell me. If you want me to go and listen to your podcast, tell me, go and listen to it and tell me where it's available. Like, it's available anywhere that you listen to your podcast. Or if it's not, tell me I've got to go to YouTube or, you know, whatever it is.
Watch the video on YouTube or Spotify, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it sounds like, I think some people don't like to do it because it's like, oh, well, people will know that. And it's like, they do know that, but they have to do an extra couple of thinking steps.
Don't want them to burn any more energy.
No.
Or any more calories thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's the easiest route.
Yeah, you've got to remove all those points of resistance.
It's like not asking for the sale.
Yes.
Yeah, you've done all that work and you get to the end and you've got someone who's interested and then...
And you don't ask for it.
Okay, and actually, obviously, we're selling the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. And you might, and, you know, you can vary up your call to action. You can say, you know, if you're sharing something about like your own reflections on a conversation you've had, you can ask people their opinion and then you can get some comments and get a bit of traction going. You don't just share, oh, I went for a nice walk in Berkhamsted today. Great. Why do I care?
Yeah, I did the same last week. Thanks. Not interested.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, I went for a nice walk and it got me thinking about this conversation that I had on the podcast last week.
So go listen.
You can find out more about it because you can listen to it here.
On that then, biggest mistake that people make with social media?
Oh, biggest mistake is overthinking, which is a really hard one to not do.
I don't know. I have no idea what you mean. Who would overthink a short post on social media that
you just got to put it out there? Like that's, and I do it all the time. I mean, actually, I did it a couple of weeks ago, and then luckily I was doing it as a collaborative post with someone, so I sent it to them and was like, I'm not sure about this post. I think it's a bit rubbish, but tell me what's wrong with it, and then I'll change it before I post it. And she was like, it's great. And then I did put that message out to our community to be like, just ask each other, because actually that's all you need. You need someone to break your overthinking and say, what are you getting worried about?
You need to get over yourself.
Get over yourself. And I think that is probably the other big piece of advice, or maybe the mistake, depending on which way you spin it, that people get too focused on themselves and they think too much. And actually something that I learned about content is it's not about you. It's about your audience.
Yeah.
And it's what do they want to know? So you might not want to share your face. You might not want to, you know, talk about certain things, but actually they might need that to buy from you.
It's about making your customer the hero, isn't it? You're not the hero in this scenario. It's very much a Donald Miller building a story brand kind of view on it.
But if you can get over that, if you can sort of think, actually, it's not about me, it's about them and what they need to know, and focus on that. There's a good book, but I can't remember what it's called. I'll find it.
We'll find it afterwards.
It's basically about, you know, always answering your audience's questions.
I know the book.
Yeah.
I'm looking over there because it might be over there. If not, it's in the office, and it is called, oh no, I might actually run off the
It's the guy who did the pool.
Yeah. You ask, they answer.
Yes. Yeah.
You ask, they answer. Well, it is. It's a brilliant book. And we'll put that link in the
and it's just it's a good perspective to remember, because I think that's where people overthink it, because they're thinking too much about themselves. Yeah,
and the premise of that book as well is basically answering everybody's questions, even if it's not a detriment to the sale, but they specialise. Yeah, the case study is that they specialised in a certain sort of pool, as in swimming pool. So they became the leading authority on it in basically the state that they were in, and then became all of America. And they got millions of views on blogs and things like that.
And it's answering the questions like, why should I listen to a podcast, not the radio? You know, and which feels a bit uncomfortable for people, because it's like, well, why would I want to talk about the competition? Because that makes people think about the competition. Yeah. And it's like, well, but actually you're going to talk about it and show why you're better.
Position yourself, your value.
And not everyone's going to buy from you.
No.
Either, and you don't want them to. You know, if everyone who followed you all suddenly wanted to buy from you, you wouldn't be able to deliver that.
You know, people talk about vanity metrics, and it's just not about the amount of views that you get on a post. It's about the right person or the lurker, as you said. If people want to get involved with the Chiltern Biz Collective, tell us how they can do that.
Follow me on Instagram is the best place. It's where I hang out most, as they say. Or go on the website. We have net walks pretty much once a month. Hopefully in the summer we'll do a couple of evening ones as well. We've got, we also do like regular, I call them Biz and Brews. So they're a bit more formal networking. Come to a venue. We have a guest speaker. We've got one on the 6th of May, is our next one. And that's, but like I say, there's no elevator pitches. There's no awkwardness, no ick, as I call it.
No ick.
Ick-Free. We try. But just, connect with me on Instagram, go on the website, where you'll also find the directory of lots of amazing local businesses.
Brilliant. Many of which I hope to have on the podcast in the future.
Yes, I've got a whole list for you.
Awesome. On that, thank you for taking the time to join us today on the Berko and Beyond podcast, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Berko and Beyond. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, then drop us an email, podcast@berkoandbeyond.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts. We'll see you next week.